Morning all. I've just heard the sad news of Robert Eugene Byrne. He died very recently, April 12th, 2013, a couple of days before this video is being produced. So the United States Chess Federation reported that the sad news of this US champion and grandmaster, author and long-time New York Times chess columnist Robert Byrne passed away April 12th, 2013 at the age of 84 after a long illness. Byrne had won the US Championship in 1972, was a World Chess Championship candidate in 1974. He represented the United States 9 times at the Olympiads from 1952 to 1976 and won 7 medals. He was the chess columnist from 1972 to 2006 for the New York Times, which ran his final column, a recounting of his 1952 victory over David Bronstein in November 2006. Here I'd like to show you a game against Robert James Fischer in brief commentary format. Fischer, playing white in the New York Championship of 1965, played e4. The previous year was Fischer's whitewash year, where he'd won all 11 games, whilst Byrne able to provide Fischer a challenge. Robert Byrne played e6, the French defence. After d4, d5, Fischer plays the Tarrasch variation, and then we see the Guimard, this knight c6. One of the ideas of the Guimard is sometimes to liberate this bishop with e5. Fischer's next move, c3, is slightly provocative. It allows black to play e5 now, so there's a lot of central tension here. Fischer now plays e takes d5, and after queen takes d5, knight f3. Although the queen is a tempo gainer, after e takes d4, the queen does have a useful square to go now if it is kicked, and in fact after bishop c4 it does go there. So it can eye that sensitive square h2 if white castles, potentially. After white castling, now we see knight f6, and Fischer actually tries to exploit black's late castling here. He doesn't play the routine looking rook e1. Perhaps black can just play bishop e7 and then try and castle shortly after. Instead we see queen e1 check, and this has a very specific idea. It gets out of this pin, so this knight can take on d4 now. We see after bishop e7, the seemingly very dangerous move, knight takes d4. Okay, now it seems as though black might be in a little bit of trouble here, because if castling, then surely knight takes c6 wins a piece. Well, this is exactly what Robert Byrne did. He castled here, and it's not that great for white to try and win a piece here. If knight takes c6, black can use that position of the queen now with the move bishop d6, threatening mate. And white can throw in a check, but it doesn't help this knight. For example, king h8, he now has to parry this mate threat, let's say with g3, and now black can leisurely just play bishop g4 here, and this knight's going to be collected. It's not going anywhere with this pin, and black's actually doing very well here. Say queen e3, black is doing very well in this position. So it's a great concept that actually this whole queen e1 check, Robert is casually just castling here. It's a great idea, and he's got a great position now against Fischer, especially with the black pieces. An amazing position to have against Fischer. This little tactical idea of Fischer's is kind of backfired here already. We see bishop e2, and now bishop g4, and again the idea springs into mind that potentially, isn't white potentially kind of trying to win a piece with this e7 bishop? It's slightly loose. We see knight takes c6, and now not the casual b takes. This could run into a little bit of trouble because of the e7 bishop. Let's quickly check actually the routine b takes c6. White has bishop takes g4, After knight takes g4, h3, and it's slightly murky. It might even be a small advantage for white. So here, the much better move now is used again. This resource bishop d6, rattling mate. Fischer reacts with now. Is in a great deal of difficulties in this position. In fact, already, it's a crude but effective, very effective setup on h2. It's a real problem here, and there's pressure on e2 as well. It's double attack basically. Fischer chooses now actually h3. He's basically going down the exchange with this move. He's actually losing the exchange. It's actually that bad, the position. Bishop takes e2, losing the exchange. So knight d4, bishop takes f1. Okay, and we see now, okay, how does black try and consolidate this position? He uses this e file, so a6, depriving white of the b5 square. Queen drops back. Rook e4, preparing to double rooks on the e file to dominate the e file potentially. But also there's another idea, trying to keep white's pieces out of these squares and maybe use this knight maneuver now to get to f4. So bishop e3, knight d5. Bishop c1, the rook's double. Very easy play for black. He's making it look very easy, the exchange up at the moment. Rook drops back, knight c4. Bishop f4, exchanging off the dark square bishops will make it even easier for black to use that f4 square. Knight f3, c6, protecting the knight. The knight was actually attacked with that. Knight b6, bishop takes c1. Okay, knight takes d5, c takes d. Rook takes c1. The only slight concern is this isolated queen's pawn a bit frozen. Well, the rook infiltration is very powerful now. Rook e2, rook b1. Slight weakness of the last move, protecting that pawn that the queen can now use the c2 square. Threatening now, rook takes f2 with queen b1. So rook c1 is played. Queen takes b2. Rook b1. Queen takes c3. Rook takes b7. Rook takes a2. It's a bit of a mopping up job. So he's 2 pawns up. So he's made very, very easy work of Fischer in this game. And he's 2 pawns up. Queen b1. Fischer's position is now, it's totally hopeless. It has been for a while, but he tries his last chances on f7. But now there's a crushing blow played by Robert Byrne in this position to defend f7. Can you spot it? Okay, queen takes f3. Doesn't mind going into a completely one rook and pawn ending. Queen takes, rook takes, g takes, now rook d8, completely one rook and pawn ending. After d4, Fischer resigned. So an excellent game by Robert Byrne, a great opening choice indeed. Surprise French defence with knight c6, the Guimard variation used to spectacularly defeat Fischer in the US Championship of 1965. Okay, rest in peace Robert Eugene Byrne. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.